So hello, and we will get started today lying flat on our back here with our feet in Baddha, or legs in Baddha Konasana. Supta, reclining Baddha Konasana. So taking your time, easing your way there, maybe a little bouncing in the hip joints, a little squinging. And coming down onto the floor, long spine, leveling the pelvis, even weight on the right and the left sides. Inhaling into the lower belly, exhale, pouring out. So if it starts to get too achy on your hip joints, so you can always slide the legs out to straight for a few breaths. And then settling the weight of your body into the floor. Letting that breath get a little longer and deeper. And as you're breathing and being aware of the breath, let that breath awareness travel through your body, making you more conscious and present in your body. And taking a few more breaths here, just being present with whatever is. And then let's bring those arms down alongside, and like we were sitting, we'll inhale and exhale. Reach the arms up the side and overhead. And inhale and exhale, breathing those arms down. Let's do that twice more. Inhale and exhale. And breathing down. And once more. And then there's those arms alongside. And turn the palms into the floor, bringing the arms right alongside like the bridge pose. And we're going to lift the pelvis up off the floor here in Supta Baddha Konasana. Take a moment, feeling that tailbone start to lift. Press the belly down a little more, and then the pelvis lifts. Finding a good balance point for yourself between lifting that pelvis and still reaching wide and pressing down with the outer knees. So you'll only be a few inches at most off the floor, reaching those sitting bones toward the heels, toward the wall below you, or the wall towards your feet. Taking a breath, and then slowly coming down, landing on the floor, and we will do that twice more. Lifting up and holding 3 deep breaths. And then making your way down. And then lifting once more. And calming down, landing on the floor, letting everything soften. Inhaling into the lower belly, exhale, weight of the body into the floor. After that, lifting it away. And then sliding the legs out to straight. Let's interlock the fingers, palms up to the ceiling. And then stretching the arms up overhead. Stretching long and flat along the floor. And we'll release the hands and let's make our way up to sitting. And sitting in Sukhasana with the crossed legs. Using those arms alongside, lengthening up. Getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. Maybe a little squinging and shifting. And landing on the sitting bones, keeping that long and spacious spine as we let the hands rest on the knees, palms down or palms up. Inhaling and exhaling, wide and flat against the wall behind you. And let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips, breathing those arms up overhead. And then we'll side bend over to the left, bringing the left hand to the floor and just tilting to the left. And then inhale and exhale, breathing into that right side. And then we'll come up, taking the right hand down to the floor. Pause a moment. And breathing both arms up overhead. And we'll take a side bend up and over to the right, also known as the other side. Extending along that left side. Breathing into the left side, making even more space. And coming up, bringing that left arm down and changing the cross of the legs. And let's come forward and over. Breathing into the back of the body. Inhale and exhale, pouring over. Another opportunity for a little shifting if you want. One more deep breath here. And then coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae back up on top of the sitting bones. And then we will take those legs out to the giant cootie bug here, like sitting happy baby. And maybe you can't quite get the whole foot flat on the floor, but don't just let those ankles and feet kind of flop. A little reach through the base of the big toe and the inner edge of the foot, even if it's not really completely flat and even on the floor there. And we'll hold on inside on the ankles or shins, pulling yourself forward and up, and a little feeling of pulling those knees and thighs back. Pulling out from that lower waist. And then let's take a twist to the right. Left hand on the right ankle or shin, twisting right. Reaching out through the front of the right shoulder, pressing that right arm away, long through the top of the head. Swooping over to the left, long through the top of the head, long through those left fingertips. So we have a diagonal forward and a diagonal back. And then let's swoop to the right again. Take a deep breath in the twist. And then swooping over to the left. And we'll do that back and forth a few times on your own timing. You can linger or just take one breath. And we will finish with this in the next few breaths, finishing evenly on the right and left for yourself, and finishing when you're ready to finish. Maybe you're going to keep doing 3 or 4 more. And eventually we'll all be back in the center. And then interlock the fingers behind. Turn this way. Interlock the fingers behind, rolling the shoulders out, leaning back on your hands. So we're all going to have our arms and hands a little different distance there, depending on how long the arms are, how long the torso. So just sort of where works for you, that you can pull that upper chest forward and squeeze the upper arms together, getting that lift the chest to lift the chin feeling. And then letting that go, bringing the feet into hip distance apart, and we will come up into reverse tabletop. So fingertips either forward, diagonal, or side. Side is the easiest on the wrist and shoulders. All right, hands behind the hips, and then we're going to start with our feet. Press those feet into the floor, and then feel a little scoop and lift from the tailbone. Press the feet more, lift more, and then lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin, rolling those upper arms out, squeezing them together like the interlocked fingers. Remember, coming down if you need to. Otherwise, we'll see if we can hold 3 or 4 breaths here. Make sure those legs are doing their fair share of the work. I tend to put too much weight in my arms, which is why I keep talking about this. Press the feet into the floor. And then come down, peeling those hands up, and let's extend those legs out to Konasana, the angle pose. Big reach through the heels. And coming forward. Inhaling into the center of the body, exhale, pouring out. Big yawn, the back of the legs against the floor. And then coming up. And reaching long through the legs. Heels press into the floor, backs of the thighs press into the floor. Interlocking the fingers, turning those palms up to the ceiling, pressing up, rounding down, taking a few breaths here. Really using those muscles to try to lengthen and extend the legs and press them down. Is there a little bit more lift from the sideways? And then releasing the hands, bringing those legs in, and we'll roll up onto our feet so we're at the front of the mat. And expanding into the forward bend. So maybe there's a little bend in the knees still, that's fine. Inhale and exhale, arriving here on your feet. And then a concave back, halfway up, folding over. Let's step back with the left foot into the long, low lunge. Taking a couple breaths there, pressing that tailbone down even as we press the back of the left leg up. And then bringing the left knee down in Jayasana. If you want, you can stay here with the fingertips on the floor, or you can bring the arms up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. Namaste in front and into the floor, stepping forward, concave back, lengthen out, folding over a little bit more, and then stepping back with the right leg into that left low lunge, taking a few breaths, lengthening that out, pressing down, pressing up. And then bringing that right knee down. Stretching more into the front of the right hip so you can stay down or coming up with the arms overhead. Keeping that wave of the breath going. And namaste in front. Into the floor, stepping forward, into the concave back, halfway up, folding over, and coming all the way up to standing into the front body yawn. Big lift up. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. Taking a few breaths here. And let's make our way over. Big inhale up and exhale, diving over. Concave back, folding over, and we'll make our way back to downward facing dog. If you feel up for a little jump, you can do that, or just walking the feet back to downward facing dog. Here we are at last. And maybe a little dog walking. So the legs and hamstrings are pretty well warmed up, but maybe a little more for the ankles and the calves. And then finishing with that, finding the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And let's shift forward to the plank. long and flat against the ceiling. And we'll Asta Namaskar to the floor, knees, chest, chin. Setting those knees down on all fours. Big arch in the back. Oh, let's do a couple cat and cows here. So you can always stick in a couple cats and cows. That's one of those things that's kind of like the little optional add-on element you can always put in for yourself as needed. All right. Let's continue now to the floor. Big hinge back, bend the elbows a little up, or chest forward. So maybe the upper chest doesn't touch the floor here. It doesn't have to touch the floor. It could just be here. And then we'll slide out to the small cobra and lengthening down. Two more small cobras. Elbows back, top of the head, and upper chest forward, down. So we lengthen up and we lengthen down. And then once more. And peeling yourself back to downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through the heel, reaching down through the other three limbs into the floor, and through to the lunge. And let's bring that left knee down, coming up in Anjayasana, the kneeling lunge. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then circling those arms all the way around, following that wave of the breath. And we'll hinge back in the runner's stretch, reaching back with the arms to hinge back with the hips, straightening the right leg, flexing the right foot, pulling back with the sitting bones, maybe taking your left hand to those right toes. And then coming forward again, lifting that left knee, will come up into the high lunge. And then bringing the arms down, let's interlock the fingers behind, roll the shoulders out, maybe a little more lift of the upper chest as we ground that right sitting bone down a little more. And then just release the hands coming over. And we're going to Matsyendrasana, walking that right foot a little to the right, to the left, bringing the left knee underneath, or arriving here, however. So we're in Matsyendrasana with the right leg across, doing our best to stand on the right foot, long through the top of the head. And then we will twist to the right. Inhale and exhale. And coming back to the center, then into the sitting figure four. So we just lean back, get that left foot up, and there's the right leg crossed over. So for the moment, you can lean back as much as you need to, and then pressing forward and up, or you can take the right arm through that right leg and pull yourself holding the left leg, whichever works better. And then we will go into the figure 4 reverse tabletop here. All right, so getting your left heel across from the left sitting bone and hands behind by the hips. Press that left foot into the floor. Scoop the scoop the tailbone up, lifting from the back of the left leg up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And then we have a press with the outer right knee down, but not letting that pelvis twist. Keeping that level, trying to breathe. Remember, come down when you need to. One more breath here. And then we will all come down. Disentangle that leg, rolling up onto your feet, and straightening the legs into the forward bend. Deep breath. Utkatasana, the chair pose. We're going to twist to the left in our chair pose here. And a big reach around with that left arm back to Utkatasana. Pressing the feet into the floor, coming up, big front body yawn. Lift a little more, tailbone down, pull the hip bones up, and then we'll just pour over. Continuing as usual, concave back, folding over, vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. Three deep breaths here in downward facing dog, or it could be child's pose. And we'll do all that on the left. And let's lift our left leg up. Reaching down into the floor through the other three limbs. And through to the lunge. Right knee down and Jayasana. Coming up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then a big circle around with the arms, all the way up overhead. And then reaching around and back to hinge yourself back into the runner's stretch, flexing that left foot, pulling the sitting bones back, maybe getting hold of the left foot with the right hand. Coming forward, straightening up that right leg, coming up in the high lunge. And then let's interlock the fingers behind. Rolling those shoulders out, lift the chest to lift the chin as that left sitting bone reaches for the floor. And then just release over. Moving the left foot a little to the right, taking that right knee under. Matsayandrasana with the left leg crossed over. And we'll twist to the left. Inhale, lots of space. Exhale and twist. And back to the center. Sitting figure four, leaning back, getting that right leg out. And then we'll just take a few moments here. You can be leaning back on the hands, pushing forward and up. Or maybe taking that left arm through, holding onto your right leg, pulling forward and up. And then figure four reverse tabletop. So lining up the right heel with the right sitting bone, hands behind. And pressing that right foot into the floor, lift from underneath the right thigh, the gluteus maximus, up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin, squeezing those upper arms together. And that left leg is active, the knee is pressing down, it's reaching out, all while keeping that pelvis level. And then breathing, about 4 deep breaths if you can, but coming down sooner as needed. And then we'll all come down. Disentangle those legs, rolling up onto your feet. Expanding into a forward bend, opening the back of the knees for a moment. And then bending the knees, Utkatasana, the chair pose. And we'll twist to the right, wide arms, breathing here. And a big reach around with the right arm back to the front, Utkatasana. Pressing the feet into the floor, coming up. Keep going, front body on. A little more, uncreasing that hip joint. And then diving over. And continuing as usual, concave back, folding over. Vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And one more deep breath in downward facing dog. Really be here. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. Sliding forward onto our stomach into the Sphinx. Pulling yourself forward and up, reaching back through those legs. Really press the tailbone down into the floor. And then reaching long through both legs, and we'll bend the right. So really press the tailbone down as you pull that right heel toward the upper back, reaching away through the right knee, and then extending that right leg out again. Same thing left, reaching long through the left, bending the knee, flexing the foot, or not, reaching the upper back and heel toward each other, and then lengthening out. Let's do that 2 more sets. Lengthen to bend, Squeeze a little and extend. And left. Once more each side. And then let's scorpion tail that, reaching through that right leg, bending, and lifting up and over. A little roll to the left, trying to reach that right knee to the ceiling, pressing that right outer knee away. So there's a little bit of a Baddha Konasana feeling in that right leg, and a big spirally twist through the center of the body. And then come. And same thing, left, bending the left leg, lifting it up and over, so the left elbow can come up off the floor any amount, a little or a lot. And try not to have the leg flat here, but pressing away with that left outer knee. I'm coming back to the center. And we'll do that back and forth a few times. Not quite so lingeringly as that, unless you want to. So our roll side to side is led by the foot and then the knee. So we're not rolling side to side, we're lifting and reaching with the leg that makes us roll side to side. And we'll finish up with this in the next few breaths. Of course, you can finish up whenever you're ready. And then we'll all be meeting up in the plank pose. Not the plank pose, sorry, the Sphinx. We could meet up in the plank. But we're in the Sphinx, evening out those two sides. Calming down, take a couple breaths. Inhale and exhale, letting go of any spots of tension or holding. And then bringing the arms around behind, interlock the fingers, roll those shoulders out, pressing back through the backs of the hands. And we will lift in Salabhasana, the locust pose. Feeling everything nice and long and centered and parallel, opposite of what we were just doing. Slowly release the hands, palms face the ceiling, squeeze the thumb side of the hands toward each other, squeeze the upper arms toward each other. Calming down, melting for a couple breaths. And then let us peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog. It's probably a good time for a few of those extra cats and cows. And then we'll all be in downward facing dog, going through the vinyasa or not. All right, and here we go, lifting our right leg up. And we're going to hover plank to the figure four dog. So bringing that right knee forward. And then hinging back with that right leg going into the figure four. Maybe bending the left leg, maybe not. And then we'll step forward to the lunge to the warrior two, turning that left foot down, coming up. Reaching back through the left, reaching forward through that right inner knee. And dancing warrior, bringing the right arm up. Right sitting bone a little more down. And into the triangle, Trikonasana, tilting over. Everything radiating out. Breathing into the center, exhale, pouring out. And you can stay here, maybe taking it up to Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon. And especially in the half moon, be aware of where you're looking, where your eyes are going. When we look down to the floor, it helps with the balance here, but you have to think a little bit more about lifting that left side up to the ceiling and not turning to face the floor with your eyes. Or you can rotate quarter turn to the left so you're looking straight at the wall behind. That's kind of the more classic traditional starting point in this pose. And the next step is rotating another quarter turn or so toward the ceiling. And then wherever we are, we're going to bring that left leg next to the right into Utkatasana, the chair pose. And then figure four here. You can keep the arms straight forward or bring them into Namaste, either one. And then setting that right foot down, coming up, hands to Namaste, long and straight to Dasana. And we'll pick the left leg up in the tree pose. So we're swapping off legs. Left leg tree pose. And then bringing that left leg down. Deep breath, samasthiti, steadiness, and then coming over. Lifting up, diving over. Making your way back to downward facing dog. Concave back, folding over. Vinyasa or not downward facing dog. I'm just going to the other side so I come out facing you. All right, and then we're all meeting up in downward facing dog. And we'll do all of that on the left. Lifting the left leg up. And then knee forward, hover plank. And figure four dog, crossing that left leg over. Maybe bending the right leg. And then stepping forward to the lunge, warrior two on the left. Breathing here. Dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up. Grounding the left sitting bone down. And into the triangle Trikonasana, hinging over. Inhaling and exhaling, letting that breath guide you into the pose. And of course, all those where are your eyes looking, where is your gaze that I was talking about apply to the triangle just the same as to the Ardha Chandrasana, which you can take now if you like, the half moon. I find it useful to look at the floor to get there, to find that balance. And then rotating that quarter turn to look to the side. And then letting that right side lift up and open a little bit more. And then if things are feeling like they're going well today, I turn it, try to take that next quarter turn headed toward the ceiling. Just a few more breaths wherever we are here. And then we'll all bring that right leg next to the left and into the chair pose, Utkatasana. And we'll figure four with the left leg crossing over, so you can stay here with the arms forward or maybe hands in namaste as we take that left leg up and over. And like in the figure four dog and the tabletop, keeping that left leg active. So try not to have it just hanging there. Reaching and pressing through the knee. And then setting that left foot down, coming up to standing, hands to namaste. Take a few breaths here. And we'll take the right leg up in the tree pose. And bringing that right leg down. Samasthiti. And coming over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. And concave back, folding over. Making your way back to downward facing dog. Three deep breaths here. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And up. Let us make our way down to the floor. So calming down, taking a few breaths, just arriving on the floor. Inhale and exhale. And let's hinge that right leg in, holding on behind the right leg, sliding the hands up. So extending that right leg any amount. You can keep the left leg bent or straighten it out if it's not too much of a strain. And we'll circle that right ankle. 4, nice big gooey circle. 3. And then going the other direction. And then taking a couple more breaths with a little hamstring stretching for yourself, maybe rounding up to that leg. And we'll set the right leg down, hinging the left leg in. Take a deep breath. Letting go of whatever was still lingering from the first side. And then holding on behind that left leg, sliding the hands up, extending the left leg any amount. Maybe the right leg stays bent or maybe straightens. And we'll circle that left ankle nice and slow and gooey. 4. And going the other direction. And then stretching that left leg a few more breaths any way you want. Bringing the left leg down. Option number 1, here we are in Shavasana, or maybe taking a little block on the shoulders. So if you're doing shoulders on the block. So if you're doing the shoulders on the block, you can keep staying there if you're comfortable through the end of class, or coming off into lying flat for a few moments. All right, so here we are somewhere. If you're on that block, finding a place for the arms where maybe feels like a good stretch when you have the arms up overhead, but it doesn't give you that easefulness. You want to have the arms at least far enough down that the whole lower arm can rest heavily into the floor. And then wherever we are, breathing. Inhale and exhale. And even if you're not on the block, let's take a few breaths, feeling that upper chest really expand. And let's breathe a little lower, really feeling that lower belly expand. And then one more deliberate big breath into both. Exhale, pouring into the floor just a little more, and letting that breath settle into its own wave, its own rhythm. And if you're still on the block, making your way gently off that block, just to lie flat for a few more breaths. Inhale and exhale, the center of the upper chest, the breastbone really sinking down between the shoulder blades on the exhale. And then breathing back into your body, into the room, moving the fingers and toes, maybe a little circling the wrists and the ankles. And bend the knees, stretching the arms up overhead. And gently making your way up to sitting. Sitting in a comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. So let's stop the recording here.